Their aura is unequal.
Well, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Or whatever. And they told me to make it a little more raspy, and I follow directions.
Their contents are legendary.
In fact, that little sheet you see is his concept drawing.
Their attitude is embraced. Tune in to one of the most up and rising kaiju-sized groups within our community. So go ahead and watch all of their creative content, including that of the Raw Attitude live interview, where they have special guests ranging from actors, directors, toy creators, artists, and many, many more. You can also find them on multiple of other social media platforms, ranging from Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You could even sit back and watch your favorite classic monster movie and even watch us go through one of the most iconic games on Twitch. Featuring your hosts, Eric Stoll, Adrian Settle, Joe Myers, Samson West, Jordan Adorno. They are the Monsters with Attitude.
What's going on, listeners with attitude? I am your host with the most, back in the driver's seat as always. Welcome to another Raw Attitude live interview with Dragon Ball Z voice actor from Majin Buu, the greatest evil in all the galaxy. We have special guest Josh Martin with us today, but joined with me, as always, my brother from another mother, Mr. Eric Stolp. It's like stop with an L. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, but I have one question for you, Joe. Do you like candy by chance?
I love candy. Why do you ask?
Well, I have this sneaky suspicion that our guest here also loves candy. I don't know what it is. I just have this intuition.
Or at the very least, the character he plays loves candy. Yes.
Yeah.
Like you, Eric, we both grew up such massive fans of Dragon Ball Z, and we've had the honor to sit down with several people, and I'm very excited to sit down with our next guest, the voice of Majin Buu in Dragon Ball Z, the one, the only, the living legend himself, Mr. Josh Martin. Josh, how are you, buddy?
What's up? I'm great. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Good, man.
Thank you again so much for doing this. We're very, very excited to pick your brain.
Come on. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yes. So, we are generally a Kaiju Godzilla podcast, and we are branching off into anime, Power Rangers, a bunch of other goodies. So I have to ask, did you grow up a fan of Godzilla? Were you aware Sentai, Power Rangers, anime, any of that fun stuff before you got in the business?
I was aware of Godzilla, right? I wasn't hugely a huge fan. It wasn't easily accessible to me growing up in Halton, Louisiana. But I did catch I was just at the tail end of my high school career when the Power Rangers came out.
Okay.
And I actually started my acting career at acting school in '94, and they had an audition for the Power Rangers. It was right before they cast Jason David Frank for that reboot part, or that the next installment of that series there. So yeah, I was aware of that. I always liked the cutaways that they did of the costume characters and the villains and that sort of thing. And now, being able to go on the YouTube rabbit hole, I've learned about all of that. And what I've found, to be honest, I think what made me not as big a fan of anime before I got into it was the fact that the mouths were not synced up with the dub, right? I mean, obviously they weren't. but for whatever reason, that just took me out of it. And and to that effect, I take pride in what Funimation and Dragon Ball Z kind of developed over the years, is like matching those flaps, making that more of a task, to bring people more into it, So yeah, to that, I wasn't a huge anime fan before I got into it, but that's why.
That's all right. That's all right. It's funny you talk about the lips not matching the words. There's a kind of a famous story in the Godzilla community. In the second Godzilla film, George Takei actually voiced one of the main characters in the sequel film, and they couldn't figure out a word that matched the Japanese word. So, and Eric, maybe you remember the story. I don't remember if it was George Takei or if it was the voice director that was like, "Oh, we'll just use banana oil." So there's a couple scenes in the film where instead of like, gosh darn it or whatever, they're like, "Oh, banana oil," because it's the only thing that fit the lips. So that's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that translation stuff now.
Yeah. There is an art to that for sure. It's to match the lips.
It has gotten better. And I think that if not specifically Funimation and the work that we did definitely over the years, that it's gotten to be more of a thing that you got to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
got to match them up.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think, like Joe touched on, I think we can agree that like not everybody is a fan of dubbed properties, movies, because I mean we're obviously Godzilla fans. We grew up with that stuff, so we've gone through it where everybody's like, oh, you can't understand them. Their lips don't match what they're saying, and they make fun of it and blah blah blah. It's like to us, it's normal now, it's all fun, and we make fun of it now because it's like, oh yeah, so what? It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be fun and off the wall. So
I dig it, and now I appreciate both parts of it and the dynamics of why it was that way in the past, and I'm glad that I can appreciate why I didn't appreciate it then, But I have since gone back and checked out some of that stuff. And what I really like to do, I just like to watch it in the original. And whether I understand it or not, I've found that most good stories and films, I can follow along whether I understand the language or not. And I think that that's a good testament to a film and a product.
Yeah, absolutely. You lose something if you cut the original too much. I feel, you lose that special X factor, whatever it is. You're missing something, and you can tell if a movie or a TV show has been edited too much from its original, that it's just like it's not flowing well.
Yeah, I agree. There's something about being an OG.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
Well, you touched a little bit on is it Houghton, Louisiana?
Houghton.
Houghton,
if I was going to pronounce all of the syllables, but if you're from there, it's Houghton.
Okay. Well, you touched on that, and you said you grew up there. Well, tell us a little about that area and how your upbringing was.
Sure. Well, it's a country town, about 5,000 people. Outside of Shreveport, Bossier, the northwest corner of Louisiana. Where are you guys from?
Illinois for me.
Illinois. Okay. So no clue. But if you're familiar with football, the NFL at all, the Dallas Cowboys, they've had a certain quarterback named Dak Prescott. For several years, and he graduated from Houghton High School.
Oh, cool.
Obviously, a couple of years after I did, but we don't need to get into specifics. Just a country town, and the fact that Dak came out of there, plays for NFL, that tells you a little bit about the town. It's all about sports. Louisiana is the is the sportsman's paradise. And that is true. You can fish, hunt, you know, all of it. And you can do, and lots of different kinds of nature too. I really enjoyed it. The music, the culture, the food. There, you know, I had a great time.
That's good to hear. You know, I'm from a small town too, Josh, about 1,800 people. And, you know, so many of my friends and classmates, they couldn't wait to leave. And to me, I kind of like the small town. I did leave. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona for about 6 months, and man, I couldn't wait to come back. I felt claustrophobic, and I just mad respect for the people that can live in a city. But to me, I was like, you know, I couldn't do it. There's too many people.
Well, I loved growing up in the country, and I love to go back and visit. And I spent 1 semester at LSUS after I graduated high school, not very far from home. But boy, I had this desire to at least try to get into acting and learn how to do it and perform. And part of growing up in Louisiana in a little country town called Houghton, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for acting and you know, pursuing this as a career, much less I didn't know how to do it. So my only idea was to move to Los Angeles or New York and try to figure it out. But luckily my dad worked in advertising in Shreveport, and the agency that he worked for had used Kim Dawson talent from Dallas, Texas, for some of their commercials for talent, you know, actors on camera and voiceovers. So my dad, luckily, after I told him that I wasn't going to return to college for the spring semester, he asked me what I'd planned to do. And I told him I planned to go to Los Angeles or New York to be a bum and be an actor. And he said, well, do you want some help? And I went, oh gosh, yes, please. And so that's when he called Kim Dawson. And after he asked him if I could get signed on with the agency. And they stopped laughing at him long enough to suggest that I learn how to act first, go to their school here in Dallas, Texas. So that's what I did. I was enrolled in KD Studio in Dallas, Texas. I mean, barely weeks. Yeah, I finished the fall semester in December, and I started the spring semester in January. In '94, I moved over here by myself, and boy, it was a wild ride. But here we are. Yeah.
You know, I'm glad you're talking about you getting in there, because that's actually kind of my next question. What made you first have that thought of, you know what, I want to try to be an actor. I want to try to be a voice actor or a stuntman or whatever it was. Was there a movie? Was there a chance meeting with somebody?
No, you know what? I was always a ham. I'll be honest. Since I got the bug when I was in 2nd grade. I was doing I did the You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown in 2nd grade. And I was Linus. I played the part of Linus, and there was one line that said, "Come on, Charlie Brown, you can do it." Boy, am I a hypocrite. Right? Well, I'm in 2nd grade, Houghton, Louisiana. I didn't know what hypocrite meant. I didn't even understand what it meant after the teacher director explained it to me, right? And so she just gave me a line reading, right? She goes, "All right, Josh, just say it like this. Come on, Charlie Brown, you can do it." And then jump and put your hand like this and say, "Boy, am I a hypocrite." And so, boom, that's what I did. And as soon as I did it, the audience, the night when I performed that first time, the audience just erupted in laughter. But I could tell that it wasn't laughing at me for being dumb or messing up or anything. Like, I nailed it, right?
Yeah.
And boom, I'm getting chills. You're talking about it right now. I got the, the Joneses, bro. I needed more from that point on. And, again, I didn't know how to get it. I just kept hamming it up. I could mimic things off the TV and, radio. I love music. So, I just kept doing it. I did what plays could do. I wound up doing a little 4-part harmony singing group in high school. Boys to Men was popular. There were a couple of country songs that were popular, a cappella harmony. And then we wound up doing the national anthem. And we'd get called out of school all the time our senior year to go to special events with the ROTC or otherwise.
Okay.
And, man, I just thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. I don't want to, never mind this work stuff. Right? Which foreshadowing would come back to bite me. But, regardless, I had a good time doing that. And I had a good feeling every time I did it because I got positive feedback when I did it. And, I thought, after I played soccer for a semester at LSUS and was, basically taking core classes, and so close to home, I knew pretty much everybody that I was going to school with still. It felt like the 13th grade. It was just, I was over it. I got bored, to be honest. And I didn't see the potential from the position that I was in. And I thought I needed to make a change. And, at the age of 18, the time was right. Do it now while I got time to fix it if I screw it up.
Yes, exactly.
It's true.
Eric, I'm sorry. I know you want to jump in here. I have a quick side note, Josh. This is kind of jumping ahead. You talked about getting that instant recognition. How does it feel now, like knowing so many people that's impacted you? Like you go to these conventions and there's hundreds or thousands of strangers that come up to you and say, oh my God, you were a part of my childhood, or I got to watch your episode and turn my brain off for 30 minutes on some troubles I had at home. Does that kind of blow your mind? I know we're jumping way ahead later into the interview, but you talked about
it. I mean, it's a super wild honor, to be honest. Doing it way back when I started in 2000, it was barely known so it was just another gig for me to do. I was happy to do it. I as far as I was concerned, it was my first cartoon that I got to voice. That was my mindset at the time. And I just enjoyed where I was at, and bring me back. I got a little sidetracked. Ask me again what you just asked me. I'm sorry. What was the question?
I was just curious, because you talked about the instant gratification you got while doing some plays. Like
yes,
the gratification that
there it is, and now they're seeing me. That's right. Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's humbling. It's humbling. I never knew if anybody was watching it, much less cared back in the day, and now to do these conventions and have people come up to you in person and express as much of how much it meant, how they would run home, or in some instances that would be the last thing they watched before they went to school. And lots of times it was an escape for better or worse. A lot of times it was to escape worse, for the better. You know what I mean? And sometimes those stories of the worse, it are, yeah, it's kind of wild that they're sharing that with me, and so you gotta take that with responsibility, because they do feel so close to you, just because it was your voice. And so, I'm able to, luckily, respect that and give back that respect. As I say, when people tell me, you made my childhood, I tell people, you make my adulthood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
You smell me? Yeah. So, yeah, it's wild. My first job out of acting school was wearing that purple dinosaur costume, Barney, and I got to see a little bit of that, but only because they loved Barney, and so I luckily got the training there to be humble and appreciative, and giving of yourself and available, and to realize the position of power and responsibility that you have in these times with these kinds of roles. Not, you won't always have that. I did comedy troupes where that was definitely not the goal. Maybe some people escape for a couple of hours to get away from their life, but I wasn't changing lives like the Purple One was, nor like Dragon Ball Z has. So the point is, I understand the difference and I appreciate them.
Well, it's funny how you mentioned Barney, because kind of doing some research on you, I never knew that you had performed as Barney. So, we're talking about, growing up with Dragon Ball, but let's be honest, like, some of us grew up with Barney too. Like, that was a big impact also. So I got to know, how did you get into that role? How did you become that character, man? I'm really excited to know how you got into that.
Yeah. It was crazy, kind of like my life is, as you can tell already. I wasn't graduated from KD Studio good. I wasn't even 21 yet in 1996. It was in February. Got the first audition. It's weird how I remember these days, but yeah, at the last week of February, I got my first audition, and the teacher paged me, and I was sleeping on, you may know him, Chris Rager, voice of Mr. Satan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We were roommates and classmates in acting school.
Oh,
and
cool.
I was sleeping on his floor at the time, and so I got that page, and I went to the 7-Eleven and I returned it, and the teacher told me to come to the school and talk to her, and she told me that there was an audition and she thought I needed to do it. And I thought, oh yeah, here we go. What's up? Here we go. She goes, it's for Barney. And I went, mm-mm. And she goes, what do you mean, mm-mm? And I said, I'm not doing that. She goes, what do you mean you're not doing that? I said, hey, you've seen our comedy troupe, right? And she had. Definitely. She was a great teacher, great supporter of everyone at the school, including us when we started our own comedy troupe. And boy, we weren't that great at the time. We got better, thankfully. But, she goes, I said, I don't think, I definitely don't want to do this. And I definitely don't think they'd want me to do it. And she looked at me with this side eye, because she knew I was sleeping on Rager's floor and had zero cash. And probably because I owed on my student loan, but that's been paid off. Anyway, the point is, she looked at me and she goes, I think you need to do this. And I went, all right, fine. I graduated acting school. This is what you do, right? And as an actor, you go on auditions, and so I'm going to go on this audition. I'm going to figure out what all this is about, and then I'm just going to move on. I'm going to get on Saturday Night Live one day, and I'm going to, bang, let's go.
Yeah.
And I got done with that audition, and teacher called me. I didn't even have an agent yet. And she said, I need you to come and see me. I said, all right. She told me I got a call back. They wanted to see me again. And then she told me what the job was for, and that it was an actual world tour, and that it would, it would pay money regularly.
Wow.
And it became a little more enticing at that point.
Sure.
And then she hooked me up with an agent that day. And so I went back for that second audition, and it was the same as the first, but this time I put on the costume. And after I got done with the audition, it was just pretending to be, the first audition was pretended to be Barney. The second one was actually in the costume doing the opening to the show, to the theme song. And I got out of the costume, and I was sucking wind about to croak. And they're giving me questions at the end, and I'm trying to answer them. Just and that was on a Wednesday, and on Friday they called me back and told me they wanted to see me one more time. They were going to send me a video of the performance from Radio City. And I was to learn the first 5 minutes and lose 10 pounds.
Wow.
And I got a week. I was like, okay. So your boy ate nothing but chicken and rice. I rode a bike from Rager's apartment to school and back. The school was out, of course. I was graduated, but I worked with this choreographer, and she did aerobics with me, and she deciphered the choreography for me, because I just thought he's just, jumping around being stupid. But she's like, nope, that's a great time. That's a 1, 2, 3, all that, and boom. The end of the week, I was down 10 pounds. I went in, banged it out.
Wow.
The rest, as they say, is history.
You said your first audition was without the suit.
Correct.
I don't mean to be forward, but did you feel a little silly having to dance and without the suit on? Was it more comfortable the second time when you were able to kind of have the suit on?
Well, to back up, right before I walked into the first audition, for whatever reason, the Muppets Mana Mana song came into my head. Yeah, look at your faces. Yeah. You see that?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
Exactly how I felt walking in. And I couldn't stop. And so it was just, they said, all right, do this. And I was like, okay. Bang, bang, did it. And I walked out. And that was it. And I thought, oh, cool, whatever. And I didn't even think about that putting it over for me or whatever. I just thought, okay, cool. I got done with my first audition. Let's get on to Saturday Night Live. Serious. I
love that.
I just thought that was just a formality. All right. Sherry told me to go do this audition. I'm an actor. I go to auditions. Next.
Yeah.
Wow. Had no idea, fellas.
You got the role of Barney. Tell me about Pillsbury Homeboy.
Ha! Well, Pillsbury started before Barney, and that started at acting school. Well, I could say Pillsbury Doughboy started way back when I was little and just mimicked the commercials. Mm-hmm. And I could mimic it. Let's say here. Nothing says loving like my crescent rolls. Right. So our first, thank you. Our first comedy troupe, we all got together the first day, and we were like, all right, anybody got all imitations, do impressions, whatever. And, I raised my hand. I'm like, oh, I do Scooby-Doo. And everybody else said, I do too. And I went, oh, that won't work. And I went, I do the Pillsbury Doughboy. And they went, serious? And I said, yeah. And so I knocked it out, and they all laughed. And I was like, right on. Gotcha. And then my friend Mark Orvik, who you remember Van Zant, who shoots B in
yes,
in Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yep.
That's Mark Orvik. He does the Australian. That's an imitation of his mother, by the way. She's Australian. Mark is not. Mark is full-on American. But Mark whispered in my ear something different to say as Pillsbury Doughboy, and so I said, I'm hollering 187 with my dough in your mouth, biatch. Yeah. So there it is. And I got the entire room of comedians to do what you guys just did. And so I knew we all knew we had a hit then.
Gold, man, gold.
Right,
my God.
Yeah. So from that point on, we just kept saying rude things with him. We did let's see, you remember Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society and all those gangster movies. We did a movie trailer. Where we turned Pillsbury Doughboy into a gangster. And then that turned into the idea that he gets jumped on his way home from school one day by a gang of Keebler elves, and that triggers him into smoking weed and drinking beer and doing gangster rap. And so yeah, I redid Snoop Dogg's "What's My Name." What's my muffin bacon name? Pillsbury homeboy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I redid all of that, and then that'll take us into the comedy troupe with Chris Rager and Mike McFarland, who you may recognize as the voice of Master Roshi and many others, along with directing. And while we were in the comedy troupe, Mike was already a fan of anime, and he found out that they were not only dubbing Dragon Ball Z right up the road, fairly up the road in Dallas, but they were having auditions, right? And boom. Now this was after I had done Barney. I came back off the road, and we were doing a different comedy troupe with a core group membership. And Mike went and got his part as Master Roshi. He came back and told us about it, and Rager was like, they gave you a part? They'll definitely give me a part. And so sure enough, Mr. Modesty went and got his part as Mr. Satan. And through that, they invited Justin Cook and Chris Sabat to our show, and they saw me do the Pillsbury Homeboy.
Oh wow!
And that's how you
to me.
Boo?
Yeah, Sabat came to me after the show, and he goes, "I think I found the voice of Majin Buu."
That's
okay.
Amazing.
He goes, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "I don't know. Come to the studio." So I went in. He gave me the 411, and the first time you hear Boo is the first time I ever recorded a voiceover.
Wow.
At all.
Wow.
Much less knew anything. I never even heard of Dragon Ball Z until I saw it.
Yeah.
Until I recorded it. I think I may have seen Dragon Ball in passing someplace else. I think my brain remembers that, but I couldn't confirm it.
Wow. So getting that role, doing the voices, that is kind of how you jump started into getting into voice acting. Like that was kind of what was the fire, and just rest is history.
Action, go.
Wow. That's
impressive. You do voiceovers.
Wow.
Go.
So you
Well,
didn't have like a desire to do it. You didn't pursue
Oh no!
it.
Oh, definitely. Oh, I wanted to be Mel Blanc. I wanted to do all cartoons,
Oh, okay.
Animaniacs, totally. But that you couldn't. I mean, back in the day, when I started out, if you wanted, you were just an actor, right?
Yeah.
You may get more work in theater than other stuff, but you don't make any money in theater, so you got to have nothing but time and some extra money, or a job that works with you. You know what I mean? That theater does not pay you well. All right, you're not going to make a living doing theater unless you're off in New York or Broadway. That's a whole different thing. And not in New York, right? And LA is where you do film and television and cartoons at the time. Dallas was where you did commercials. Dallas, the television show, Walker, Texas Rangers, some offshoot, some location films and things like that. But this was mostly commercial models. A lot of modeling happened here, and a lot of industrial films and commercials. So the thing that you would possibly do is you could do voiceovers. You could make your living in voiceover. Now that, even to this day, is great money. But that's doing the Ford commercial. That's doing the ESPN commercial. That's doing all. That's the TV. I mean, the movie trailers. That's the big stuff. Now, local commercials are decent. You know what I mean? You book those, you get your local radio commercials, you book those enough, you can make some money, right? But the point is, when I came here, getting into cartoons, that wasn't even a possibility, much less getting into voiceover. They called like one guy usually in Dallas, seriously, John Galt. They'd give him a list of the things he was going to do today, and he would do them, and then he would go home. And that was it. You maybe, if you got to read for stuff, they had like a handful of, their core guys in town that they would call in to read in case they wanted something else.
Yeah.
And then they called John. And I'm paraphrasing, I'm generalizing, of course, but that's basically where it was. Those guys, some of those guys, they wouldn't read. They wouldn't even audition for Dragon Ball Z. Their agents wouldn't let them, mostly because they weren't paying properly. So it wasn't worth paying the agency fee. It wasn't worth those guys making the trip. All of that.
Yeah.
For us youngsters who are trying to get into it and make it happen. It was still an investment, because at the end of the day, I was giving up lunch shifts and only getting an hour's worth for $35, full disclosure.
Right.
Right. I mean, $35 an hour is great, but if you only work 1 hour,
right. Yeah,
for the month.
Oh, jeez.
Right. So let's say, like I did all my stuff. I already recorded it. Hey, we need a pickup. Well, they can't pay me for 5 minutes, so they got to pay me for an hour. But they'll only pay me for an hour, right? So, boom, I still got to take off the whole shift. Plus, it's going to take me 3 hours to do all that for $35.
Wow. Jeez.
Right.
Jeez.
So,
that's tough.
Well, that just gives you a little history of where things were to where they are now, right? It's much different. I'll say B-list actors at conventions asking me how to get into voiceovers. Like, I'm sorry, what? They don't even hire me in voiceover, much less I'm gonna get you a gig. I got one major role and a bunch of bit parts. You got films. I want to do what you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Stay in your
Well,
lane.
you realize for 30 years I sat around doing nothing, and then conventions happened, and it worked out. But you try and bank on that,
Yeah.
you're gonna get hungry.
So you kind of answered this when it pertains to Majin Buu. Is there something you need to know or a direction you would like to know or have when voicing a character in order to find its voice?
Luckily in anime, they are pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Direct in their illustrations, in their
Oh,
animation, right? Like what you see is what you gonna get. There, you see a character in eyeglasses, nerd, right?
Okay.
Every time you see the blonde-headed guy, he's the protagonist, right? You see the ugly guy, the ugly big guy, he's the antagonist. I see them on the call sheet. I already know I'm not reading for them. That's Rager. That's Chris George. You know what I mean? That's the big guys.
Yeah.
But to your question though, I totally rely on the director to help me out. In addition to the script's going to tell me a lot. What I say, what other people say about me, right? But a lot of times, well, I'll say most of the time, we don't have time for us to watch the entire bit, right? For me to see all of it. So just like when I stepped in for the first time for Boo, I got the Cliff Notes version in about 2 minutes, 3-5 minutes, depending. And then it's let's watch it.
Okay.
You got the script, then you watch it, and then make sure you're ready, and then you record it. And I may have watched it a couple of times the first time, but I'll be honest, I wasn't doing soliloquies. I didn't have a bunch of monologues to do.
Right.
It was just a bunch of giggling and reacting. So that helped. That helped cover up some of the learning curve that I was doing. But I don't know. That's my best answer, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's all good.
So how did you hone in on Boo's voice, like his tone, his pitch? Was it part of the Pillsbury Doughboy kind of, into it kind of thing, and then you just kind of honed it, or they directed you? How did you really narrow it down to get Boo's iconic voice?
Going back to what we just talked about, it was a combination of seeing the video, seeing the animation, and getting the direction from Chris Sabat specifically.
Okay.
He directed me. He gave me the 411. It was all of that, and it was based on him telling me, he's just a baby. He's just a big baby. He just wants to eat candy and chocolate, but he destroys things, but only because Bobbity makes him.
Okay.
Otherwise, he's a big baby. Well, for the actor in me, okay, cool, got it. He got me because of Pillsbury, right?
Okay.
And I'm gathering that there's that's because of the cute voice and the fact that I said a bunch of rude stuff that connects with this cute pink demon that destroys things. Right. That's my connection there. That's the connection I made. And so I try to keep the cute voice.
Yeah.
Right. And remember when I was doing the cute stuff, right? There's not much of a gravel. right? There's
Yeah.
no need to be graphic. I just want chocolate. I just want some chocolate. It also, I also steal from Julie Johnson, Baby Bop on Barney. I heard her enough. I tune right into it. When she's cute like this, she just wants her pinky.
Yes.
Right? But you know, when Pillsbury's mad, he's like, I'm rolling 187. Check yourself, biatch. You know what I mean? It's mad. You're not happy about it. So I tuned into that, but you got to keep. I can't all of a sudden be like, hey, you know, I'm gonna kill you. That doesn't work. I mean, I guess it might, but it doesn't, right? So I think that's part of it. How can I be evil and cute at the same time? Well, I was kind of already doing that for 5 years by the time I booked Boo. So and again, luckily it was just that's all I said for most of the episodes, right? Boo. That was the one line I said. I used to tease Kyle Abear. I'd be like, next time on Dragon Ball Z. Last time on Dragon Ball Z. Every time on Dragon Ball Z. Every time. Yeah. So when I finally went to town and saw the girl and I went, you think Boo's sexy? How about a smooch? I thought, yeah, get some lines. Let's go. That's why I went to acting school.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Right?
You said
and the fight scenes were difficult, just exertions, but you know, other than that was just being
I love that. I love hearing Boo.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. I was just curious. You said you really weren't aware of Dragon Ball Z prior, and really kind of even when you were recording. Did you ever go back and watch it all? And when you did, what'd you think?
Full disclosure, I have not watched it all.
Okay. It is. But, I mean, there's like 500 episodes, so yeah.
Yes. As much as I could, Sorry, I'm a voice actor. As much as I could, I watched all of the things that I did. Yeah. Which was difficult without getting the hard copies back in the day. I actually had to wait until YouTube came out to watch all of it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I try to catch up on the extra stuff. But you know, I got 3 kids, so any extra time I got is definitely taken up by them. And then any other time that I don't have is also taken up by them.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. So doing Majin Buu, did they give you any insight on like his story, his progression, what was going to happen? You know, any of that stuff while you were recording, or it's just kind of like, here, we want you to say this, and then they're going to input it, and then that's just kind of the story, especially like knowing that later on, like he basically cuts himself in half and spits out his evil side of it, which also you were part of voicing. Did you know any of that or the direction it was going?
What I do remember is that Chris Sabat filled me in on the Cliff Notes version before I started recording, or the day of, right? I also remember that while we recorded, he kept me, you know, fully informed of what was going on, and you know, again, why it was happening. As far as, you know, smarten me up to what was going to happen in the future, I don't remember knowing too much about the future. Okay. I don't remember knowing too much about the future because I remember splitting off of myself, turning myself into a cookie, and then finding out that I wasn't recording anymore. Like in real time. What? Versus hey, tomorrow we're going to have you come in and do this and do this, and then that's going to be it for a while, but want to see when you can make it. That didn't happen. As a matter of fact, I was still confused. I wasn't even sure that it was my part the first 3 times I went in. I thought I was still kind of auditioning. They'd paid you, you'd call back, they'd ask you if you could come in. I mean, yeah, sure. There wasn't for me, and probably because it was such a small part, there wasn't a lot of information. You got time? Yes, cool. See ya. And then I show up.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I was also in a comedy troupe, working, and I was rock and roll improv comedy troupe. So we were definitely rock and roll in all aspects. So I might have a little bit of a foggy memory. But as best as I can tell, but I think they kind of keep that stuff close to the vest anyway for integrity, for the story's integrity, not necessarily just the product and the franchise, but yeah, I think for the most part.
Well, I love your work. I thought the voice and sound effects of Boo are fantastic. So I'm glad you got to do it, even if it was for a shorter time than what you would have liked. Are you still in a comedy troupe or doing stuff in a band, or is that time?
Well, yeah, I'm not in a comedy troupe, but I am in 3 bands at the moment.
3 bands.
Yes, if you can believe that. I am in the original Beastie Boys tribute band, Ryman and Steelin. I do MCA's part. I play bass on a couple of songs when we perform those live. I'm also in a band called Regulators. We're a hip hop R&B cover band, and then I'm also in a band called All the Small Things. It is a pop punk tribute.
Very nice. Now, do you actually tour around, or is it just kind of local for your area?
Ryman and Steelin is definitely on tour. Not constantly, but we definitely go everywhere. Been to Canada, New York, Florida, LA, all over the place.
Wow.
The Regulators and All the Small Things are 2 new groups that we are still in rehearsal process. But we are at the end of those rehearsal processes. I am looking forward to probably in the next month or less doing some shows. So I'm excited. Yeah, I get to sing, rap, play a little guitar, and doing a little turntablism.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Josh, I got.
I'm 50 years old, ladies and gentlemen. 50.
I love it.
I got one more question for you, Josh. You said you have three kids. Any desire for them to follow, or do they have a desire to follow in your footsteps, whether it be comedy, voice acting, a band?
I don't think any of my children want to do what I'm doing. They think it's cool, but they could care less. I have 3 daughters. My 3 daughters.
I got 2.
Now, one is a soccer player.
Oh,
one
nice.
is in choir.
Okay.
But and they're twins. Those are twins.
Oh.
They're about 16. But they don't want to do either of those things for a living. One wants to be a lawyer. The other wants to do engineering.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Good for them.
And then the oldest, she wants to be a real estate agent.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
good for her.
she's off to OU in
Cool.
August, and so she fixing to start the college life. She's 18, and we're excited. She's gonna do awesome.
Good for all of them.
That's awesome.
All
Yeah,
of
thank you.
all of those are are great careers and honest work, and that's great. Good for you.
I agree.
You must be very proud.
I am. Honest work, unlike me.
I didn't want to say it, but
Hey.
But your work is pretty fun.
I'm honest. I like to be honest. Hey, you know what?
Yeah, your work has definitely inspired thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. So like you can sleep at night knowing that you have put such an impact on so many people, from Dragon Ball to Barney to any other anime, voiceovers that you have done. Like that alone is an accomplishment not many can ever say. So congrats with that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I am fortunate.
Josh, the last minute or two here is yours. Anything you would like to plug? Any conventions you're going to be at? Any shows that your bands are going to be playing that you would like to promote? The floor is yours, my friend.
Sure. Okay. Well, tomorrow I am on my way to Columbus, Ohio for Animate Columbus.
Oh, okay.
A lot of us are going to be there. A lot of anime voice actors are going to be there. Thus the title, Animate Columbus. Right? Let's see. I'm also Ryman and Steelin will be in Dallas in July and August in July. Let's see. I'm sorry. Austin, July 11th. Dallas, July 12th.
Oh, okay.
And then I am also, I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a wrestling manager.
Oh,
really?
I manage a wrestler named Ironside the God for Ardmore, for Texoma Pro Wrestling. And he is currently their champion, as he should be.
Congrats.
And so I will be, thank you. I will be managing him soon. Check out my socials. There's a show on the 21st in Ardmore, Oklahoma. There will be a title defense. I'm sure it will be successful.
Hell yes. That's amazing. Eric and I are actually, all of us here at the MWA are big wrestling fans. In fact, we actually interviewed Eric Bischoff about a month ago here on the show.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
What? Nice.
Yeah, so that's very cool. We'll keep an eye open.
Eric Bischoff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that up? Apologies if it is. I'll have to go check that out.
It is up. Yep. It is up.
On it. I got to hear what he has to say.
When we're done, I'll send you the link to it.
Please do. Yeah, I love it.
I will.
Super cool.
Eric, is there anything you would like to say before we wrap up here?
I'm a big fan. Your voice acting, it's especially with Majin Buu. It is one of my favorite villains. It's my favorite arc of completely all of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Super, everything. It is my favorite of all time. I mean, I even rep Super Saiyan 3 when Goku goes Super Saiyan 3 when he meets Majin Buu for the first time. I mean, that episode is so epic, but it's been an honor and a pleasure talking with you. Definitely an idol of mine because I just love this character, love the anime, and it's just been a pleasure. And just knowing that you're just a down-to-earth, really funny guy just makes this so much sweeter, honestly. And just thank you for taking the time and talking with us.
Eric has good taste.
Yes, man, that's awesome.
I love
yes,
that.
It did.
Yeah, Josh, everything that Eric said and then some. You're an awesome guy. You seem like you're so down to earth and genuine. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I mean this, and I don't say this to every guest. You can tell which ones I'm not impressed on because I won't say this next part, but I am impressed by you, so I will say it. I believe that you deserve all the success that you have achieved so far and all the success that you will achieve in the future. You deserve it. You're a very nice guy, and it was truly so great to meet you and to talk to you this past hour. And who knows, maybe one day we can have you back, and we'll I don't know. We'll do a live watch along of a Majin Buu episode or something. It'd be fun.
Let's go. Y'all are too kind. Thank you so much for the words and the opportunity. I really appreciate it. You guys are genuine and down to earth and badass. Stay that way.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. You know it.
And to all of our listeners, we appreciate you guys tuning in live. And for those of you that will follow us later in the future and watch this, go give Josh a follow, or go see him at these upcoming appearances that he's doing, whether it's convention, his music, or we just found out he's a professional wrestling manager. So we definitely have to have him back for that and chop it up, all things pro wrestling. Eric, thank you. Josh, thank you. All the listeners, thank you. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, embrace the attitude.